You see, the future is now thanks to science.
Welcome to everybody's favorite podcast, The Future is Now. Anna and Gaia from EO Gymnasium are in the studio and we're looking forward to spending the next 10 minutes with you. So, Anna, what are we discussing today?
Well, Gaia, I'm glad you asked. Today we will be talking about intelligence. We would like to discuss how intelligence can be defined, if it can be at all, and we will touch on the terms IQ and EQ. So stick around because we have a bunch of interesting people waiting to come in here and talk to you guys.
So let's get started. IQ stands for Intelligence Quotient and it was created in 1912 by a German psychologist, William Stern. The IQ is based on what we call the mental age, which is a way of comparing a person's intellectual performance to what is expected from a person at his physical age. It was defined by a French psychologist, Alfred Binet, in 1905, and he invented a test for finding one's mental age. The test is very focused on logic, finding patterns and association.
And later in history, scientists have begun questioning the validity of the IQ test. For example, in 1983, Howard Gardner, an American psychologist, published Frames of Mind, in which he introduces the seven intelligences, which includes the interpersonal, the musical, and the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The logical intelligence is just one of many in Gardner's theory.
And in 1996, another American psychologist, Daniel Coleman, introduces the EQ, Emotional Intelligence Quotient. In the studio, we now have Marius Greve Ingsi, who is here to discuss the EQ with us. So, welcome to the studio, Marius, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Gaia.
So, for the viewers, can you tell us exactly what the EQ is and how it's measured?
Well, EQ is defined as emotional intelligence. It was coined in 1990, and it's sort of a measure to show how good you are in social situations, how you can use other emotions for your own good and communicate based on their emotions.
Okay, so critics say that the EQ is unreliable because the EQ tests don't all measure the same thing. Would you comment on this?
Well, I believe that this is true, that the EQ tests aren't that reliable at the current moment because it's still in a very early phase of testing and sort of theorizing about it. For example, as you said, the tests don't all measure the same thing. One might measure empathy, one might measure your skills in a social situation, and there I think that's already a problem because then you can't even compare between the tests because they don't measure the same thing.
Okay, so if you don't believe the EQ is a good measurement for life success, do you believe there are other factors that could measure intelligence?
Well, very much so. I would say IQ is a very good measure. As a matter of fact, you can see that there's a correlation of 0.70 in a chi-square test between IQ and EQ, which in psychology is considered to be a very high correlation. So in this way, you could say that it's actually a direct measure of how intelligent you are if you have a high IQ. You could also say that you could look at your personality traits, for example, agreeableness, to measure maybe your social intelligence in some way, because agreeableness directly shows how good you are in social situations and how good you are at making people feel comfortable about talking to you.
Interesting. So, my last question is, what is intelligence?
Well, I think that's a very hard question to answer, but I would say that the most important thing in intelligence is your ability to learn, because actually studies show that the relevance between IQ and grades drops as your level of education increases. So in this way you can see that you can go beyond your genetic presets of IQ and become very, very successful if you're simply good at taking what other people tell you and use it to improve yourself. So definitely say your ability to learn is very important.
Thank you for answering our questions. So thanks again to Marius, and in a moment we'll be open for callers. You know the drill, give us a call if you can answer the following question. What is the highest IQ score ever recorded and who was it?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yes it is, Anna. And now we'll have a small break just to shake things up a little. Here comes Taylor Swift with Shake It Off.
You see, the future is now thanks to science.
And that was all we had time for, since we only had 10 minutes. So, now we are moving on to the callers. We have Lisa calling all the way from Ugelbolle.
I think it's pronounced Ullabulla.
Hello, Lisa. Hello, can you hear us? Hello?
Looks like we have a bit of a bad connection here.
Lisa, can you hear us?
Now I can.
Fantastic. Lisa, can you tell us what is the highest IQ score ever recorded and who was it?
Yes. Well, the highest IQ score ever recorded was and it was.
The connection went again. Can you please repeat the answer?
Wow, she must be far out for the connection to be this bad.
Don't you live in Friesland?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you repeat the answer for us, please?
Yes. The highest IQ score ever recorded was by a young American called William James, and it was between 250 and 300.
That is correct. Congratulations. You have won 2 tickets for the canteen. Thank you for joining us today.
We now have Ashley on the line to tell us a bit about what she defines as intelligence. Hello, Ashley? Ashley?
Looks like our caller is out of reach. Anyhow, we will now move on to our second guest in the studio. Welcome to Pia Müller Jensen.
Thank you for having me.
We would like to ask you some questions regarding IQ. So, first question, IQ is a measurement of your intelligence. Can you tell us your opinion on whether or not you believe that intelligence can be expressed by a single number?
I don't believe that it can. And I think that when you talk about IQ, then you mean sort of a logical, mathematical intelligence. And even that, you cannot just express that with a number.
Earlier this year, an 11-year-old girl called Kashmir Wahi from London scored 162 on an IQ test. That's a perfect score. She's the youngest to receive such a score and is taking part in a group for highly intelligent people. Do you believe that her high score will result in her being the next Einstein?
Not necessarily. It basically tells that she's good at solving the type of problem that you get in a traditional IQ test, which is again logical and mathematical. And then there's a lot in the school system that determines your future. And if she's not catered for and if she gets bored, then she might not even get a future education. So it's you will find lots of people that had a high IQ as kids that don't necessarily get far in life. If getting far in life is further education and being close to Einstein.
Yeah. And to end off, I would like to know, what is intelligence, and can IQ alone be a measurement of it?
Yeah, I think IQ is a lot of things. I like Howard Gardner's theory that there's a lot of different ways to be intelligent. One of them is the mathematical logical one. And for all of them, I think it's fair to say that you cannot describe any of them with a single number because it varies. So it's we talk about growth mindset, for example, that if you believe that you can change, then you can change. And I think that if you work hard, then that's more important than your intelligence. And you can just ask Einstein, because he would say that sort of 10% is your IQ and 90% is the hard work. So.
Thank you for joining us today, Pia, and answering our questions. It was super interesting. So, Gaia, do we now know what intelligence is?
Wow, that's a good question, Anna. Now we've heard two different perspectives on intelligence and IQ. Our two guests both agree that it's very hard to define intelligence and that the IQ is not the absolute measurement of intelligence. Also, our guest pointed out that intelligence is not a set genetic thing, and they both agree that intelligence is something that you not only can build on, but something you should build on.
Yeah, that's true. And IQ is only a measurement of a single type of intelligence, the mathematical and the logical thinking. We now know that there are many different types of intelligences, as Howard Gardner presents in his theory about the seven intelligences. and one of these is the EQ. However, can we call EQ an intelligence?
As Marius said, EQ does not have enough research to support it as a form of intelligence. So is it valid?
What do you guys think?
If you would like to express your opinion on the topic, what is intelligence, you can go to our website, thefutureisnow.science.eo.dk.
Yeah, and it's time to round off your favorite podcast. Thank you for listening today, and remember,
You see, the future is now thanks to science.
That was all for The Future Is Now, but stay tuned for our next student podcast. Welcome to Time Traveling History.
Time traveling history. Time traveling history.